What I've got for you today is a very exciting match of StarCraft 2. Not a lot of tournament games have been played on the new multiplayer balance patch with all of the new maps just yet. And this series right here, this best of 3, is one of the very few. As of me making this video, this series was literally played 5 hours ago. So big shout out to the Korean StarCraft League for distributing their replays as quickly as they do, as this is gonna give us a fresh look at the new strategies that, well, at the very least should be available. So, spawning right here in game number 1 on a map called Equilibrium. Spawning in the top right hand corner, playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we have none other than GuMiho. Now, I think GuMiho is one of those players who woke up today with a smile on his face, because in my mind, I mean, he's a very strong Terran player in his own right, but in my mind, he's especially powerful whenever there's a new patch available in StarCraft 2. Some pro players take a while to adjust to changes, but GuMiho is very much so the type of guy who will have strategies prepared and build orders prepared for a series like this. So we'll have to see exactly what he decides to bring. His opponent, though, in the top left-hand corner, I mean, one of my favorites as well, playing with the red Zerg drones, the #1 Zerg from South Korea. We're looking inside of the main base of Dark. Now, right from the get-go, there was a little bit of chatting. I really wonder what Dark is asking here. Maybe somebody can translate it for us in the comment section down below the like button. Anyways, there's a lot of changes that I don't quite agree with in this new multiplayer patch. If you haven't seen my video about it, I'll go ahead and post a link to it down below in the description of this video, because I do go on a bit of a rant in that one, and I really don't want to repeat myself. I don't really know exactly if GuMiho is going to be playing anything like Mass Cyclone in this series. That's basically all I played against yesterday on the ladder. So I guess we'll find out together. There is the factory going down right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to play a relatively normal style with a couple of twists and turns here and there. Now, so far, this is just a straight Marine opener. Overlord apparently has not yet made its way across the map. So before this game really gets underway, let's have a quick look at Equilibrium. So, Equilibrium is interesting because the players have not spawned diagonally from one another. We have Dark, of course, in the top left and Gumi right here in the top right. Generally, whenever you have a map like that, where it's vertically mirrored, the air-to-air space is relatively short. However, on this map, I guess it's relatively long, right? So the rush distance here is still, at least if you want to send out a medevac or like a group of mutas or whatever, it's still relatively long, all things considered. We have a big watchtower over here in the middle of the map as well. That does take control of a significant portion here, but there is no such watchtower at the bottom of the map. So once you knock down these rocks in particular, there's a lot of paths that you can take, and you can very quickly rush towards the other side of the map. Now, one interesting feature on this map that I have experienced as complete bait so far is this base. So obviously the map is mirrored. We have a similar base as well on the other side of the map. This is I think a new feature actually on a StarCraft map. I mean, it's relatively small, but it's combining a bunch of greedy things all in one go. So this is a rich golden base with a rich Vespian Geyser as well. So a Vespian Geyser that is purple returns 8 gas a trip rather than the conventional 4. And the golden minerals, they return 7 minerals a trip rather than a conventional 5. That means, of course, that, well, you don't really need a whole lot of drones or a whole lot of SCVs to properly mine it out. The problem is, in my experience so far, that this base is incredibly hard to take. I can imagine that if you put a bunch of siege tanks on the high ground, or you, for example, well, I mean, you have to take a risk in order to grab it. I already mentioned this in my map overview video as well. I think there's gonna be some players out there, like for example Bly, that will be more than happy to take this as their very first expansion. Because, say for example, you want to be a bit of a cheeser, and there is a Roach Warren coming down, although I don't really know if this is meant as aggressive. I don't think so. I don't think this is meant as aggression. But anyways, there are definitely going to be players out there that will take this as their very first base, transfer a bunch of workers to it, and then just pile on the aggression. None of that really happening so far, as GuMiho is just opening up with a Marine drop with 7 of them inside of a medevac. I guess we're really just trying to snipe Overlords. Dark here, probably a little bit concerned for any sort of Mass Cyclone play, but so far it does not look like that is going to be the case right here on Equilibrium. Maybe it'll be something that GuMiho brings out later, maybe not. Only time will really tell. Now, in a standard straight-up game, right? So here's the reason why I don't think a lot of Terrans at this level are really going to mix up their strategies so much, at least so far. In a straight-up game, Widow Mines are a little bit stronger. But units like the Lurker, like the Baneling, like the, I don't know, the Infestor, like there's a bunch of units out there that Zerg players will oftentimes play. All of those are going to be a little bit weaker. So in my mind, in a standard game of StarCraft 2, Terrans will probably feel a little bit better. Also because, of course, the Widowmine is now a bit more microable. So even though there's a gigantic change made to the Cyclone, and for all intents and purposes, it's an entirely new unit, and I do believe that we're going to see some crazy timing attacks in the future because of it, most of the Terran players that I have seen play this game so far are really just going for the same strategies that they always have, except they're now slightly stronger because Zerg is a little bit weaker and the Widowmine is a little bit more powerful. Maybe that's also the reason why Dark has decided to go Roaches here, though. So he's decided to go for a lair here. He'll probably fire up the Roach speed upgrade, and he is now going for the bait base. I don't think you actually want to be taking this base, man. I really don't believe it, but GuMiho is going to be, well, sniffing it out right away. He sees it here. There's a medevac with 2 siege tanks inside of it. Yeah, I've got a feeling that dropping them on the high ground is going to be amazing. I mean, you should probably siege them up. Gumi? Okay, is he not sieging them up on purpose? I think he was waiting actually for his army to come close. Yeah, there's really no way that base is ever going to happen. He was probably thinking that maybe he could let the base finish up as well and get the proper kill rather than just to cancel. You do a lot more damage, of course, to the Zerg economy when you don't allow them to cancel that structure, but nice attempt there from Dark, but I just don't see how that's gonna... Yeah, how that's gonna happen unless you have the entire map creeped up, but it's gonna take a while to get on over in that direction. Anyhow, for now, this is just a Roach Ravager based approach. So a lot of Zerg players right now, at least the ones that I've talked to, they seem to be a little scared of the Baneling nerf in particular. So Banelings have gotten a double nerf. Not only do they deal less damage to light units, like, well, for example, these bad boys right over here, they also have 5 less hit points. And I actually think the hit point nerf is more significant than the damage nerf overall. Things like, for example, planetary fortresses will have a much easier time sniping Banelings. Siege tanks obviously also will, well, they deal splash damage in little radii, right? Like a little radius around their original point of impact. And I think they're gonna have a much easier time killing Banes as well. And since that's one of those units that Zergs literally make hundreds of in every single Terran versus Zerg, at least where they're playing Lingbane, I think a lot of Zergs are thinking right now, hold up, I don't actually want to focus on that unit composition anymore. Okay, so Dark has decided to go Roach Ravager Nidus Worm. One of his overlords did just now get sniped at the top section of the map. Immediately we have an Overseer morphing in as well at home. I think he wants to get vision, and I think that's where that overlord was headed previously. I think he wants to get vision over here of this dark spot in the main base of the Terran player. Roaches and Ravagers, I mean, he's just at 66 workers and he's just gonna max out. Or 65, I guess. Normally you're at 66. He was at 66. But I guess the Nidus network took one of those drones. Okay. Overseer has taken about 4.5 years to go across. There's a couple of Widowmines in the mix. Okay, good corrosive biles there by Dark for now. But I think a lot of Zergs are not just a little scared of playing that Ling Bane-based army, they also feel a little bit worried about playing late game. So the Lurker is a little bit weaker, the Brute Lord is a little bit weaker, the Infestor is a little bit weaker. I mean, the Ultra is 25 minerals cheaper, I guess. The Hydra is a little bit quicker to produce, but... Anyways, Nidus Worm going up inside of the main base right now, but the Marines are having a grand old time. This is, however, unscouted, and there comes Brenda leading the charge. Okay, this could certainly pack a punch, because GuMiho is not prepared to deal with this whatsoever. Originally, the other queens were not supposed to come across the map, but apparently they've decided to join in as well to create a Zerg infestation inside of the main base of the Terran. 12 SCVs have gone down so far, but keep in mind that this is a very committed push here by our Zerg. He doesn't really have a backup plan. He doesn't have a hive or anything like that coming up, so Dark really wants to win the game right here, right now. The rest of the units now get ferried down from the low ground as well towards the main base, using the Medevacs as an elevator. Siege tank over here on the low ground. Yeah, I actually don't mind it. Siege them up. Bring those roaches in range of them. Lovely play right there by Gumi. 23 SCVs have gone down so far, but I think that's okay, actually. All things considered, as weird as that maybe sounds, 42 workers remain here for the Terran. When the mules go back to mining, I think it's gonna be alright. Only just now is when the +2 armor upgrade starts up for Gumi, or sorry, for Dark, whereas Gumi here is already finishing up his 2-2. If GuMiho here decides to go straight into the 3-3 research, he's gonna have a massive upgrade advantage for like the next 5 minutes or so. And I don't think there's really a situation where Dark is gonna be able to kill his opponent here anytime soon. There has yet been a transition here, yeah. There's no hive just yet here for Dark, so he is just sitting back. He's gonna go into the Tunneling Claws upgrade. Okay, together with Burrow. So Dark is sticking around on just Roaches and Ravages this game. Now, while Infestors are nerfed as far as their Fungal Growth cast range goes, you can get them out with Fungal Growth a little bit easier now. So if you want to get a couple of Infestors in the mix here, I do think that would be an amazing choice. But apparently Dark is concerned about this push. He wants to just make non-stop army. Gumi, by the way, has not fired up 3-3. He has also not added on any new SCVs. So he's turned what was previously a Zerg all-in into a Terran all-in instead. And I don't know if that is the right choice. Does he have enough right here to overwhelm this Zerg player? I do not believe that he does. No, I actually think that was the wrong decision. He lost a lot of workers, yes, but not to the point where the game was suddenly unplayable. Drones right now are pulled away as well from those mineral lines just because there's Widow Mines here trying to harass this. Even more units are going to try and show up in this area of the map. Okay, Widow Mine over here is going to get a kill. Okay, over here the Spore Crawler apparently finished off the Medevac. GuMiho has still not added on any additional workers. So he's just turned this into a 3-base all-in, but he is gonna go into the double upgrades right now. So he's basically planning on continuing this Marine Marauder Medevac all-in for as long as the game takes. Now, if GuMiho notices this, he is gonna be able to kill so many roaches for free, but obviously these players are sometimes a little bit too fast for their own good. These tunneling roaches are unscouted for now, and the majority of the Terran army, yeah, was sitting out in the middle of the map. Another command center has just come up, but I mean, GuMiho really doesn't have a lot of SCVs here. I think I disagree with some of the decision making here by Gumi overall. Yep. Dark obviously very good in these chaotic situations, right? And that's what he's trying to create here. Now finally the Infestation Pit comes up. Big Medevac drop inside of the main base. Queen's having a good time. They have killed one of the Medevacs, I believe, so far. Reinforcing Ravagers, though, will be able to corrosive bile some of these units. And Jimmy right there was valiantly shooting at that extractor, but he also did get sniped. Yeah, these roaches are just creating so much chaos. Now the Infestors are coming up. I mean, for the Roach Ravager Infestor unit comp, I actually think overall, the Infestor changes are a small buff right here for the Zerg. So what are we gonna do in the late game though, Dark? That's my main concern here. Where are we gonna take this game? He's going into a Baneling Nest right now together with a Hive. So I guess we wanna go Ravager Ling Bane with Fungal Growth for support, okay. The Marines are starting to put a little bit of damage down once again. There's an Infestor though, dealing some damage. One of them ends up getting sniped, but the Corrosive Biles did connect. Medevacs for now, just hanging around. Roaches here once more, harassing the natural expansion of the Terran. Okay. GuMiho decides to go back into SCV production. So there was a good 5 minutes or so where he did not add on any workers. We're gonna restart the 4th command center again as well. In my mind, and obviously I play Zerg primarily, right? So excuse a little bit of bias. I try to be objective, but I guess I'm always going to be unintentionally a little bit biased. But in my mind, the late game that was previously, yeah, about 50% in favor of Terran, 50% in favor of Zerg. I think it was really closely balanced. In my mind, it's now a little bit better for Terran overall. Yes, the Ghost did get nerfed. So spellcasters, I guess, are difficult to catch now, but it's not gonna be that impossible. I mean, it's only really gonna take one additional snipe on a unit like the Ultralisk, but all of the other important Zerg units remain unchanged as far as the damage output goes. And with the Lurker being nerfed, the Broodlord being nerfed, what exactly do you do? I'm honestly not sure. In my mind, in a straight up macro game, Terran will probably be a little bit better in the mid game and a little bit better in the late game compared to the most recent StarCraft patch. And maybe that was the goal, right? Maybe the perceived community feedback lately has been that Zerg is too powerful in the late game. But honestly, when I watch like Seraph versus, I don't know, Clem, for example, or Seraph versus Maru or whatever, in my mind, it is very close and a very sick matchup. So that's, I guess, why I'm a little bit concerned about some of these adjustments that they've made. There's the Lurker Den coming up, though. So to clarify, I mean, a lot of the changes that they have made, a lot of the adjustments that they have made are almost imperceivable. They're very small, and it really doesn't make that big of a difference, but small adjustments do lead to large changes over time, in my experience. Okay. Corrosive Biles apparently are in range. I didn't think he could reach that with those Ravagers, but nicely done there by Dark. Ooh, GuMiho thinking about going north over here. He's got to be careful. There's so much energy available. Okay. This bridge ultimately forces Dark to back off. Lurkers are on the production tab right now, so the Adrenal Glands upgrade, or sorry, not the Adrenal Glands, the Adaptive Talons upgrade, that's the one that got adjusted a little bit, so the Lurkers cannot reposition as easily as they could in the past. This watchtower is actually so lovely here for GuMiho. Yeah, it takes control of such an important part of this map. Very cool to see. And you know what? For a first pro game on the new patch, this is pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of experimentation that will still have to be done, and we really don't know exactly where everything is gonna go, but this is a bagger of a game right from the start. Liberators joining in the fray as well. Vipers now are available, but one of them, okay, gets sniped before it casted any spells. Or before it cast any spells. Anyways. Couple of Biles once again connecting. Siege tanks, there we go, end up going down. Now the Lurkers, though, get properly spotted, and I don't know if there's enough that GuMiho can really do about them. Some lovely fungal growths here, once again by Dark, who's in the meantime also harassing a little bit with one legendary roach over there behind the base. Siege tanks, though, at this point are unsieged because there's just not that many units available anymore here for the Zerg player to fight with. Blinding Cloud does connect, nice little abduction as well, but in a way that's mostly helping out the Terran player there because that siege tank was once again in range. GuMiho is still at an incredibly low worker count, now forced to back off. 28 additional Hydras are just about to hit the battlefield, and GuMiho is forced to GG out. That was a very back and forth game. Game number 2. We find ourselves on a map called El Sayani. It's not El Saiwan, it's not El Sayon. Apparently it's pronounced El Sayani. Okay, I don't make the rules. English makes absolutely no sense, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, once upon a time, this kind of reminds me a little bit of that. I figured out that this is pronounced not Yosemite, but Yosemite. Fair enough, right? That's pretty cool. And then on stream, I at some point pronounced this word as Vegemite. And let's just say that the Australians made fun of me for weeks. If this is pronounced Vegemite, I feel like this could be pronounced as Elsa 1, okay? Anyways, it is what it is. I guess English in the end is just a combination of like a dozen different languages all in one go. I played a couple ladder games on this map so far, and I noticed a small little strange thing because of this mineral field that I do want to address real quick in case you're unfamiliar. So I played 2 games. I played one game where I spawned on the top right-hand corner of the map, and then another one where I spawned on the bottom left. It turns out, if you mine out this mineral field, the mineral field that is closest to the main base, on this side of the map, if you want to take a drone from this low ground down over here, the drone can fit past that little gap, a Zergling can fit past that little gap, but a Roach cannot. Whereas if you mine out the mineral field on the other side of the map that is closest to your main base, a drone can go down, a Zergling can go down, but a Roach can also go down. So I had this weird thing where I had like, I don't know, Roaches coming in from this 4th base that I'd made that were running all the way around, and Roaches from the 3rd that were running all the way around that way, whereas on the other side of the map I didn't run into that issue. Long story short, if you do play 1v1 on the ladder, mine out one of the center mineral fields, that way you do not run into that problem. Roach Rush right here from Dark. I mean, maybe Dark is thinking about going for some macro games as well, but apparently not right here. He has decided to go for a pool first into a quick gas geyser and then a very fast Roach Warren as well. This is a Reaper opener right here for Gumi, so he's gonna go for the triple Reaper start, and he'll be adding on the command center here on the low ground momentarily. Okay. Let us see how this one plays out. How many Roaches are we gonna commit to, Dark? Are we gonna go for a complete all-in, or are we only gonna make a handful of them? Commonly, we see like a 5 roach opener. At least we used to see that back in the day. It's one of those builds that Terrans don't really like playing against all too much. I'm assuming GuMiho, yeah. Ooh, did get a glimpse right there of that roach warren, so he now knows what he's playing against. Starts up the second gas geyser at home. Actually, he already had that one going. And he goes for a bunker out front together with a tech lab. Okay. 4th Reaper now also coming up. So he's trying to buy as much time as possible to finish up that bunker and to be able to put units in it. Dark, by the way, droning behind this. So this is committed aggression, but by no means an all-in right here from the Zerg. If he can kill any sort of worker on the other side of the map, I think he will find himself at an advantage. Very pretty looking map, by the way. I really like the color scheme here, like this blue-orange. I mean, blue and orange work really well together for some reason. And then these like different shades of gray. There's like 50 shades of gray on this map, dude. Amazing. Great book, by the way. I haven't read it. I haven't read it. Anyways, concussive shells coming up. Marauder is gonna be added into that bunker. It's rallied straight into it, which is really nice. And I think that this has been held pretty smoothly. Okay. Now, there is a reason why we don't really see this build very often at this level of play. And that is because you do fall economically behind. So, at this point, it's 21 drones versus 27 SCVs. In just a moment, we'll have the second orbital command done. And that's gonna make the Terran player feel pretty good about himself. Okay. I wonder what strategy GuMiho is gonna go for this time. I would like to see some mass Cyclone play. Yeah, I was gonna say, he's already been committed into Marauder play. He's decided to now also follow this up. Okay, getting a drone or two on the other side, not bad. But he's decided to follow this up right now as well with Stimpeg. So, no Cyclone play this time around either. Although, I guess you could go Marines, Marauders, and Cyclones. That's a strange unit comp, but maybe that'll be something that players will figure out over the next couple of months. Are we gonna go for another command center? What are we gonna do with this one? Ah, okay. I got a little bit excited there, Gumi. I thought you were feeling very greedy here in this game. That would have been a mistake. We're just gonna gift that little bunker over here a nice little touch-up. So Dark is going for a follow-up aggression here. So after his initial aggression really didn't get anything done, he's now gonna go for even more. Roaches, Ravagers, and Zerglings. Yeah, he's only at 34 workers right now. This is one of those Zerg builds that I do believe you can get a lot of results with if you are a Zerg player. It's a build that a lot of Terrans don't have that much experience with, I suppose. So I did some Roach Rushes yesterday as well on stream. And I found out that mass Cyclone openers absolutely destroy these builds that Dark has been going for here. So I don't know. Like, I did like a 38 drone, triple gas, Roach Ravager Ling all-in against a Terran who was going just mass Cyclone. And I killed 17 workers. I was like, oh god, I'm in a pretty great spot here. Turns out, he had a third command center with all of that. So the Cyclones just absolutely destroyed my Roaches and Ravagers. The Zerglings also didn't really stand much of a chance. And then there was a third CC. I was like, oh crap, I'm actually in a horrible position. I got destroyed in that game. Even though I thought I was pretty far ahead. So, yeah, blind triple CC, mass Cyclone. It'll be a build you'll see quite a bit on the ladder, I think. This is not gonna work, dude. Nah, Dark. You can try, but... Sorry, I wasn't even really casting that fight at all, but... I've played this opener too many times myself, and I could tell right from the start that that was never gonna happen. Dark still decided to, yeah, give it a try, but those siege tanks just 15 and 8 kills respectively. They are feeling pretty good about themselves. Alright, now this is not a triple CC opener right here for Gumi. He is gonna be starting up his third command center right now. Third base just finished up as well on the other side of the map here for Dark, so he's only just now adding on drones for it. So in the end, yeah, I think this is a relatively even game. Dark heading towards the top left-hand corner right now. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know. Maybe gases would be a better choice, yeah. I think he's feeling like he can play at least a bit of a macro game, but then he remembered, wait a second. Banelings may just be off limits, so he's very Roach Zergling focused. Large Terran army moving out right now. Dark checking the front. He sees right now that that upgrade finished, and... Well, that Terran army that was previously protecting that mineral line is no longer to be seen there, and... Okay, he spots the units here in the middle of the map. Rocks are being destroyed. GuMiho is ready for some aggression once again. At this point though, he really doesn't need to attack because he's already economically ahead. So he scans this, he sees the lack of workers over at the third base of the Zerg, and he yet still decides to commit. I think that's an error right here from Gumi. If you see that you have more eco than the Zerg, why attack? Okay. He should have scanned and then turned around, I think, but he decided to commit, lost a couple more units there than he ultimately needed to, but in the end, I mean, he still has the third command center. He's still adding on more and more production. Yeah, he's improving his army quite a bit, and Zerg slowly starting to add on a couple of drones, slowly going into Evo chambers. Started up the lair as well, but I don't think I like this game as much for Dark. It's a relatively even game, but playing this position, I'm not a fan. I'm a fan for the Terran, but not as a Zerg. I don't enjoy playing this position very much. Alright, so the Zergling here scouting out. Sitting in that site blocker over there, trying to see if maybe the Terran wants to get aggressive. GuMiho is still wandering around. He should recognize that over the next few minutes he's gonna outgrow the Zerg quite a bit. So moving around like he's doing right now is a little bit risky. That mineral wall blocking the bio army from reaching that overlord, although they could have just popped into the medevacs, I guess, and gotten to the other side. I was gonna say, yeah, you should really kill that. Okay. 1-1 coming up for Zerg, going into Roach speed. Yeah, notice Dark is now allergic to Banelings. I think double nerfing the Baneling was stupid. I don't know, I've been thinking about it a lot over the last 24 hours or so. I think double nerfing the Baneling was... like, the idea was, so that's what kind of like boggles my mind a little bit, right? So they write down in the balance update that they want to reduce game-ending splash damage and all that, which is fair enough. I actually think there's too much splash damage in StarCraft 2, so fair enough, right? So we see a damage reduction on the Baneling, and we also see a nerf to the Disruptor, right? Fair enough. And then we see a Widowmine buff. It's like, where did the Widowmine buff come from, buddy? Did we then also expect a Widowmine nerf? It just... frustrates me, okay? I'm not gonna lie. I know the Widowmine buff is almost irrelevant. But like, why though? I don't know. Anyhow, nice corrosive balls right here by our Zerg. But does he have enough standing army? Nah, that fourth hatchery is in a lot of trouble. And this is what I was talking about. Terran had a bigger economy than the Zerg for a long time. And GuMiho has just outgrown his opponent. Alright, and that will take us to game number 3 in this best of 3 series, which will take place on the map Site Delta. We can't really have a lot of discussion about how to pronounce that one. Site Delta. Easy enough. This is the green sandy map. I don't know if the map makers purposefully split up the different themes for each of the maps, but all of the different 9 maps that we have in the map pool at the moment, they are all visually very, very distinctive, which I personally really quite like. Anyways, what are we gonna do this time around, Dark? Yes, you won game number 1, but I don't think he's happy about that one. Like, he won primarily because GuMiho was allergic to making more SCVs after Dark's very first big attack wave. I was like, yeah, if GuMiho would have been making workers during all of that, then, you know, he didn't restart workers at a 4th base like 8 minutes after the original aggression, I think it would have been in a pretty good spot. It really seems to me that Dark so far is a little bit hesitant. Hesitant to play a macro game, hesitant to play Lingbane. 6 Zerglings coming up right now. There's the factory. Reinforcing Zerglings are gonna help push back that Reaper, and, well, very soon we're gonna be seeing a Queen popping out. Okay. 3rd hatchery coming up. Factory in the meantime on the other side of the map, and now a 3rd command center is also fired up. So this is GuMiho going for a classical 1-1-1. We'll probably see a... I mean, he could add on a 2nd factory, which I would personally like to see, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to go for a starport. Yeah, there it is. So the Cyclone can now be produced out of a factory without an add-on, or with, for example, a reactor on it. You could pump out 2 of them at once, but with an opener like this, it has to be Hellions. There we go. He just does not have the gas to go into Cyclones, which is fair enough. Yeah, the next few months are going to be very interesting. Honestly, the most interesting months we'll have in StarCraft 2 in quite a while. I'm excited for it, but also a little nervous. I find myself gravitating to playing quite a bit of Protoss and Terran right now. Not really, yeah, too many shiny new toys for Zerg. Like, nothing. Literally nothing. There's a bunch of cool stuff to mess around with if you're a Terran right now. Bunch of cool stuff if you're a Protoss. As Zerg, I guess the main thing that you can look forward to is that the Ghost is not as strong. But the Ghost has been nerfed primarily with Zerg versus Protoss, or sorry, Terran versus Protoss in mind. So, I don't know. Like, things like Brute Lords and Lurkers, they still die to the same number of snipes from the Ghost. Only the Ultralisk is taking one additional hit, but... Anyways, it's gonna be a Marauder Hellion all-in, by the way, here for GuMi. So GuMiho going for a 3 command center all-in. That is certainly a little bit aggressive. He will need to get some sort of damage done with it, but obviously he does have a big economy on the back of this too. So maybe he's thinking, okay, Dark has been playing a rather cheesy series so far. He's gonna need an armory. There it is. He's been playing a rather cheesy series so far. Maybe I can catch him off guard with some of my own shenanigans. So this is going to be Hellbats together with Marauders. Now, Zergling did run in. Does Dark realize what he's playing against? Well, he's going for an extra gas. He's going for the lair and once again a Roach Warren. So no Bailing Nest. Interesting. So no Bailing Nests. I mean, he made one in game number 1, but other than that, I don't think we saw any Banes. We just haven't seen him opening that just yet. Obviously, it's way too early, by the way, to draw any conclusions. I don't think we can really properly draw conclusions until like a tournament or two from now, but I'm inclined to imagine that this is a patch that Terrans will probably be pretty happy with. Protoss is as well. Zerg players, we can cry together. But maybe it's fair enough, right? Because Zerg has won the majority of the tournaments over the last couple of years, so... Anyways, here we go. Transfuses are going down. Is there enough for Dark to defend this? This is a committed aggression right here for GuMi. Any damage here would be amazing for him. If he can kill the hatch, that would be awesome. If he can kill all the queens, that would be awesome. If he can kill drones, I mean, that would be one hell of an attack. And at this point, I mean, the drones haven't been mining. The queens are burning up. This is one of those openers where you do want to have Banelings. And I think GuMiho has realized that, hey, this dude does not want to play Banelings. So if he doesn't want to play Banelings, and he's opening up Roaches as his go-to right now, this Marauder-based all-in is suddenly a lot more powerful. Well, that third base now is dead. I think Dark will be able to finish all of this off eventually, right? So all of his reinforcements are popping out. Yeah, that... what's it called? Medevac is completely out of energy. So these units, I guess, will have to be killed because they're still on creep. Dark will stabilize here eventually, but at what cost, right? Third command center has already landed for GuMi. GuMi is macroing on the back of this. He's getting himself that Stimpack research. We have the 1-1 upgrades already started. I mean, that +1 armor, or +1 weapons upgrade rather, is already halfway done. We can even go into the armory upgrades if we want to. One unit composition, by the way, before this series ends, because I've got a feeling that Dark is just about to GG out. One unit composition that I've been playing against that I think is really sick is Cyclone Raven. So since the Cyclone's auto attack now benefits, and the lock-on as well now benefits from the anti-armor missile, it seems like a composition, dude, that hits like an absolute truck. Alright, well, Dark is still actually pushing through this. I think there may have been a bit of a mismacro here by GuMiho, because he's now forced to pull all of the SCVs. I don't think that should have happened here. Losing 4 workers. A lot more units coming up. Yeah, I guess the Stimpack upgrade is a little late, all things considered. That Cocoon is not going to finish up a Marauder. Okay, nah, he holds that still kind of smoothly. Dark has decided, by the way, to just spend all of his resources on a whole lot of hatcheries. Lair at this point is done. Double Evo is coming up. Roach Speed is going to finish up as well in just a couple of seconds. And maybe I spoke too soon. You know what? There is actually a chance that Dark can get back into this game. He really needs to get on top of his spending, though. Okay. GuMiho finally adding on some more production, but I guess that Stimpack upgrade should have been fired up much sooner. I'm not exactly sure when that Stimpack upgrade should have finished up as far as like the duration and minutes of the game goes, but I feel like he should have finished that up like a good half minute earlier or so. Either way. Okay, these Zerglings are gonna have to run away. Medevac drop goes across the map here. Okay. Now that GuMiho is stable once more, I think he'll be able to, just like he did in game number 2 of this series, over the next few minutes, I think he should be able to outgrow his opponent quite quickly. His economy is bigger. You can see when the mules land. It's like a roller coaster. And now he's pushing forward over here as well. Okay. Stutter stepping out of this. I don't think he really needs to be out here. Reinforcing Terran units are, however, going to show up as well to seal the deal in that particular fight. Stepping onto the creep is so dangerous though, man. I think he should just lean into the economy for a little bit and wait for a sec. Instead, we're just gonna try and push for the win right here, right now. He doesn't really want to give Dark any chances to get back into this game. Medevac right there ends up getting sniped. GuMiho though still with a massive advantage. Bumping out as many Marines as possible, and there's an army bigger than the Zerg just chilling at home. Marauder drop in the main base, also getting a couple of drones. Bailing Nest once again attempted here by Dark, but I wonder if it's a little too late. Couple of Ravagers will go down before these Marines, and the Medevac ultimately find their grave as well. We're gonna get rid of a couple of the tumors over here at the front, and GuMiho is just gonna start piling on the pressure. He's got +2, about to finish up as well, and I guess as Dark finishes up his 1-1, 2-2 is gonna finish up here for the Terran, so he's not gonna be able to get a lot of enjoyment out of those upgrades. At least the +2 infantry armor is a little bit behind. Hatchery over here at the, I guess is like the, I was gonna call this the 3 o'clock position, but I guess it isn't. It's more like 1:30. Ooh. Putting in quite a bit of work though. That expansion has been scouted by Gumi, so I think that's probably where his next attack is gonna be going to. But right now, just like in game number 2, he has successfully outgrown the Zerg. I think he's pushing a little bit too ambitiously, because there are so many ways that this game can still go down a cliff. But there it is. GG is called. It's GuMiho who wins over Dark 2-1.